Today we're turning this into this using this. Chicken is one of my favorite things to barbecue, and it's as if the Weber Smokey Mountain was designed to perfectly cook chicken. It gives you the best of both worlds. You can get that smoke flavor that can match some of the best smokers out there. Plus it has the ability to reach 600 degrees or higher. So if you don't have a Weber Smokey Mountain, I recommend you go out and get one. You can buy them secondhand on Facebook, and I promise you won't regret it. And I have a video right here that'll show you exactly how to use it. So one of the biggest problems people have with making chicken on a smoker is that the skin is not crispy. Sometimes it's not even edible. In order to get crispy skin, we need to understand a couple of things. So when people use their smoker, they usually run it from 225 to 275. And while that temperature range is great for tenderizing and infusing meat with smoky flavor, it's not so great at rendering the fat that's underneath of the chicken skin. Fat rendering is crucial because it allows the skin to get crispy rather than letting the moisture steam the skin, which eventually becomes tough and inedible. Secondly, and probably the biggest culprit for rubbery chicken skin, is going to be moisture. So chicken skin has a lot of natural moisture. And in a low temperature environment, that moisture will turn into steam, which steams the skin and makes it rubbery. And I have a few tricks up my sleeve that's going to help us combat those issues. The first step is spatchcocking the chicken.
Good day, barbecue enthusiasts. Today, we embark on a culinary journey, courtesy of your local butcher, a splendid whole chicken. So, roll up your sleeves as we dive into the art of spatchcocking a chicken to ensure a perfectly even cook and a delectably crispy skin. Firstly, arm yourself with a pair of sharp kitchen shears. Precision is key. We begin our task at the humble tail of our feathered friend. Position your shears to the left of the tail. Now, with the precision of a skilled craftsman, carefully cut alongside the spine up towards the neck. It's a task requiring finesse and a steady hand, qualities all great chefs possess. Mirror your actions on the opposite side. This maneuver will free the backbone from its duties, allowing our chicken to lay flat, an essential step for an even cook in the smoker. Next, lay our poultry friend breast side down. With your razor-sharp knife in hand, prepare for a precise incision. You'll want to gently sever the tendon, hindering the breast from sitting freely. With the tendon expertly cut, apply a firm and confident press upon the breast. Watch as it marvelously flattens out before your very eyes. And now, with the breastbone splendidly visible, arm yourself once again with your trusty sharp knife. With the precision of a skilled surgeon, delicately remove the breastbone. Should the situation allow, you might even find it possible to extract the bone with your hand rather than the knife. With that, you now have a beautifully spatchcocked chicken.
So why do we take the time to spatchcock the chicken? Well, it comes down to surface area and more even and quicker cooking. More surface area means that there's more crispy bites. The chicken's also going to lay more uniformly on the grate, which means that the large chicken breast can cook at a similar rate as the chicken legs and thighs. And lastly, removing that backbone is going to allow the heat to penetrate the meat.
Not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate.
More directly and evenly. That means that the heat doesn't have to travel very far in order to reach the center of the meat, which is going to speed up the overall cooking time. So now that we've spatchcocked the chicken, we're going to jump into the next step, and that's brining. We need 4 quarts of warm water. Then you want to take a cup to a cup and a half of salt, and you want to add a half a cup of AP seasoning. I like to use Malcolm Reed's AP seasoning. It has salt, pepper, garlic, pretty much the basics.
That's good.
Mix that in really well. You then need 1 cup of brown sugar. Toss it in and give it a good mix. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that this chicken is delicious as possible. That is why we went through the trouble of creating a brine. So the brine is going to ensure that every bite of this chicken is juicy. So let's go ahead and put the chicken in. So from there, that chicken's going to take a bath for about 24 hours. That's going to be plenty of time for that brine to work its magic and elevate this chicken. So I'll see you in 24 hours. So this chicken's been in this brine in the refrigerator for just under 24 hours. It's time we take it out and move it to the next step, which is air drying. I can't stress enough how important this step is. So earlier I mentioned that moisture was the culprit for rubbery and tough chicken skin. Well, we just introduced a lot of moisture to the chicken. And by air drying it, we're gonna make sure that the surface of the chicken skin is completely dry. What that means is when we throw it on the Weber Smokey Mountain, the heat's gonna be able to immediately start cooking that skin instead of having to evaporate the moisture. So for this, the first thing you're gonna need is a tray with a wire rack. We wanna grab the chicken, Next, you want to grab some paper towels. And we want to dab all the moisture off of the chicken skin. Make sure you get every bit of moisture that you can see. So the reason we're setting it on the wire rack is because we want air to circulate around the chicken, which allows that skin to really dry out. Secondly, any excess moisture that's in the chicken, we want it to drop down into the bottom tray so it doesn't stay underneath the chicken. Make sure to sanitize. So from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this chicken and we're gonna set it in the coldest place in your refrigerator for about 24 to 72 hours. I know it sounds like a long time, but it really makes a huge difference. This is a technique that I picked up from Chef Thomas Keller in one of his master classes.
Put that in our refrigerator for at least 2 days, possibly 3.
Ever since I started applying it to grilled or smoked chicken, I've not looked back. And with that, we're ready to throw it in the refrigerator. You don't need to put any salt on it. We've already brined it. It's gonna be juicy. We just need to get that skin dry. I'll see you in 24 to 72 hours. All right, it's been 48 hours and this chicken's been air drying in the refrigerator. At this point, you should notice a pretty dramatic difference in the texture of the skin. It's gonna be a lot tighter, and you're gonna notice that it doesn't have nearly as much moisture as it did. You'll also notice that the skin's a little bit brown from the brown sugar that we put into the brine. You also might even notice a couple other brown spots, and that's from oxidation that happens in the refrigerator when the skin is exposed to oxygen. So this chicken is ready to season. We're gonna be using a store-bought rub. Make sure there's not a lot of sugar in it because you're gonna be exposing this bird to a lot of heat and you run the risk of burning it. So the first thing you wanna do, go ahead and put some oil on it. This is gonna work as a little bit of a binder, but it's also, as it gets hot, it's gonna allow the skin to crisp up really nicely. Next, let's make sure we get a good coverage of seasoning. I think that should be pretty good. Let's flip her over. Make sure you get all those nook and crannies in there. Make sure that we get that on there really good. Remember, season from about 18 inches away. What that'll do is it'll let that seasoning distribute evenly. I think we're good. I think that bird's ready right there. All right, so after you get your bird seasoned, we're gonna let it sit in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes while we get the smoker started. All right, so I have a detailed video on how to use the Weber Smokey Mountain. If you wanna go up here, you can watch it. But today we're gonna be using this thing a little differently than we normally would. You're not gonna need the water pan, we're gonna take it out because we need these temperatures to reach 400 degrees plus. Now, why on earth would we wanna cook at such a high temperature? Well, I'm glad you asked. Chicken skin needs to be exposed to 375 to 425 degrees in order for the skin to become crispy. So getting those temperatures to those heights means we're gonna get extra crispy skin while infusing it with the smoke flavor from the wood that we're cooking with. So what we'll do now is we'll light this thing. So I'm gonna fill the chimney up. After we fill the chimney up, we're gonna put it in the charcoal basket. What we wanna do is go ahead and fill this chimney up once more. Once we have that chimney full for the second time, we wanna take this and we're gonna light it. Once that ash is over, we're gonna throw it on top of this other charcoal. The coals have ashed over, and we're gonna toss it on the unlit charcoal along with some chunks of cherry wood.
I was tempted by your smile. I was tempted, and for a little while I was certain.
So we've thrown the charcoal on, we have the wood lit. Now that we have it lit and it's quit smoking, we're gonna throw the cooking chamber on. At this point, what we want to do is make sure that that temperature is stabilized 425. So we've thrown the charcoal on the unlit charcoal, we've thrown the cherry wood on there, and now once we get these temperatures stabilized at about 400, we're gonna go ahead and throw the chicken on. So I'll see you then. All right, so I've got these temperatures stabilized. Time to throw the chicken on the Weber. So this thing should be good for the next hour or so. Routinely check the internal temperature. We want to pull it off when the breast hits 158, and if it starts to get a little burnt, you can cover these wings with foil in these drums as well. And I'll see you here soon.
I was certain that I will be the one to change you, and you will be mine. You will be mine.
All right, the chicken's been smoking for about an hour. We've been at 425 to 450 the entire cook. The chicken has reached about 158 internal. It's time to take it off and let it rest. This chicken's perfect. It's crispy. It has that smoky flavor we would expect from cooking over a fire. If you have a Weber Smokey Mountain, you gotta try this technique. If you don't have a Weber Smokey Mountain, get on Facebook Marketplace and buy one. It should pretty much pull apart. But to properly butcher one, you wanna take this leg off here. You wanna separate drum from thigh. We'll do the same thing on this side. You can pretty much cut this down the center. And there you go. If you like this video and you want to learn some cool shit, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'll see you next time.